Indiana Sports Beat Radio is brought to you by the fine folks at the Hard Truth Distilling Company, including Big Woods Restaurants and Quaffon Beers. You can find their great products in your area. If not, ask for Hard Truth. Their great products like their Hard Road Rye, Sweet Mash Bourbon, or the Toasted Coconut Rum. Ask for the Hard Truth.
Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone, and it's caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown, INDY! A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Renew now, drives in low, throws up a shot. It doesn't go. Tipped up and in by Anthony Leal. Indiana takes the lead.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into Indiana Sports Beat Radio and the Hard Truth Mobile Studios as we're coming to you from Chicago and Big Ten Basketball Media Days for 2024-2025. Yesterday was the women's chance. Today, the men go at it. All 18 teams, all 18 coaches, players from all 18 teams as well. Will be on the dais today and breakouts. They're doing things a little different. Instead of having the long speeches at the beginning, they are going to have some breakout sessions with coaches, like 3 at a time, and a moderator. So they'll talk to them together in groups, and then they'll have the breakout sessions where we'll go talk to them at the podium and things like that. I will have Mike Whitson and Trey Galloway, and I believe it's Miles Rice here as well. And so we're going to have plenty for you today. Also, Shannon Griffith, coach, will join us. We're still got to talk some football, man, as we're heading into the weekend. They have a huge weekend right here in Chicago for Indiana, as a matter of fact, as they will be coming to Evanston tomorrow to play on Saturday against the Northwestern Wildcats. Indiana at 5-0, of course, first time in 57 years. We all know that by now. This team is set to go 6-0 and bowl eligible in their first 6 games. You shouldn't be shocked because I've told you all year long it was going to happen, and it is going to happen. Now, the one thing I'm surprised at is, and I'm not a big knowledgeable gambler, but the spread has been 13.5 on this game, and I keep shaking my head going, how is that possible? Because Indiana just put 42 points on a good Maryland team, and they had 4 turnovers. They would have put over 50 on them. So what is it about Northwestern that Vegas is seeing differently? Are they just that off on Indiana this year? They have been and had been up until that point, but 13.5 against Northwestern, I don't get it. Their offense does not score. They scored 5 points in their loss to Washington a few weeks back. Of course, they had 2 of that is by courtesy of the defense with a safety. But their quarterback last week was 5 of 27 for 57 yards. I just don't understand what the thinking there is. But we'll talk to Coach Shannon about that. In addition to Robert Kravitz will drop by, and he'll be here live with us as well today. Chris Denari, we'll talk to him also, and plenty to get to. Tennessee, a judge has thrown out, there was a lawsuit in regards to NIL for high school athletes in the state of Tennessee. I mean, Indiana, of course, will be the last state to allow this, but Tennessee has now had that struck. There was a ban on NIL for high school students. A judge has struck that down. And now you've got Tennessee high school athletes. This is going to become a big thing. And I'll tell you exactly why, in my opinion. Because, and Indiana's a great example of this. If a student in Indiana is being recruited by Florida or someone from Florida or any state that has NIL, all they need to do is move there or get an address there, and they can, not at a public high school in Indiana, but there are ways to circumvent that, or it's going to start drawing more. We've seen too many of the best players leave the state of Indiana. Some go to La Lumiere, some go to IMG, some go to Montverde, but we're going to see more of this if Indiana does not get on the train. I think why are you waiting? What are you waiting on? It's pointless. This ship has sailed, people. It's like the states that haven't passed marijuana. I'm like, come on, get over yourself. It's 2000 and almost 25. It's time to get into the modern age. But Tennessee won't have to worry about that. Florida was one of those states. I think now that makes 32 states that have legalized NIL for high school athletes. So, and I know people are going to moan and groan about it, but why are they different than a regular student? Because if a regular student was in school and got famous because he invented something in science class, are you going to tell me that they can't make money? Of course they can. So it's just different is all. And it's just going to take some getting used to. And, well, not here because it doesn't happen here yet. But it's weird. I get it. It's not how we would all like to see it, but it's because it's not how it used to be. But what is? Cars aren't like they used to be. Thank goodness. A lot of things aren't the way they used to be. But Big Ten Media Days are, and we'll have a complete coverage today, and looking forward to getting out, talking to the different coaches. Mick Cronin from UCLA here. UCLA, one of those teams that is going to be in the consideration this year, I think, for the Big Ten. One of the top four. We talked about that yesterday with Rick. We'll talk about that more today with Bob when he gets here. And Indiana, of course, there's no doubt in my opinion that Indiana should be the favorite to win the league title. Just based on talent, based on all that they have, they should be the favorite. And that means putting a target on their back. And I think that they deserve that target. If you have all that talent, why should you not be expected to be the best? I think you absolutely should. Does Curt Cignetti's success put pressure on? Pressure is not the right word, but does Curt Cignetti's success highlight? I don't want to call it a lack of success, but the less than expected, maybe, success in basketball. Basketball is a sport that you can turn overnight almost, especially once the transfer portal came to be. We saw that with, I forget it was Iowa State, Kansas State, someone like that was 2-22 the season before, and they turned it around and went to the tournament, I think, the next year. We saw with daggone it, Ole Miss, down at Ole Miss. I can't think of his name right now, the former Texas Tech coach and Bob Knight assistant. It's too early. I'm drawing a blank on the name. Somebody will throw it up there in a second. But he took the Ole Miss team that I think they won 13 games, and they started out 15-0 last year, I believe. So being able to do what Curt Cignetti has done, well, first of all, I don't know if that's – when this is all said and done, I don't know that he will be matched as to what he has done. Please throw up some suggestions if you see them. For those of you listening on the YouTube and putting in the comments, and we appreciate you guys. And if you are catching us on the radio, we appreciate you as well, especially down on the river, our River Rats on 97.7 ESPN, The Ref, always the right call. And up in the region, the voice of the region, 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, WJOB. Make sure, and they're not too far from here. Wished I could have stopped by. But also in Fort Wayne, the only sports station in town, 1380 The Fan. Keep it tuned right here to all of these stations afterwards for more content coming up. But yeah, if you're on YouTube or if not, always just go there and sign up, subscribe, hit the notifications toggle so you don't ever miss a thing. But that's another reason why I think Indiana they have to be the favorite. They have to be a team that they should be the team everybody else is chasing, period. It's 4 years. This is the fourth year. It is, we know about all the talent that came in, and there's a lot of it. And I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just saying there is undoubtedly, it may not be pressure, but it is, I think, known what has to happen. And that's not, it's not asking too much by any stretch of the imagination, especially if Kurt Cignetti is able to do what I think he's going to be able to do. And I believe that of course they can go 11-1, but this is going to be something. Because if they're 11-1, that means a 10-0 Indiana will travel to a 10-0 Ohio State in the second to last game of the season. That's going to be awesome if that is the case. I mean, can you imagine that scene, that scenario, the focus that Indiana would garner from that? They're going to garner focus the week before when they take on Michigan. Michigan, unbelievably, this week, they're playing at Washington. They're getting 2.5 points. And I'm not a big Michigan fan as far as thinking that they're, all this, they have some quarterback issues. But getting points against a team that's, they've got a great crowd, but that's going to be an interesting game for me. So we'll see how that goes. But again, Indiana fans don't want Washington or Michigan to lose. You want these teams to be as good as they possibly can be, ranked as high as they can be, because that sheds a much better light on Indiana if they're able to knock them off. We're going to take a break. When we come back up next, we've got so many things shuffled around today. I'm trying to remember who's going to be coming up next. I think Shannon is still up next, Coach Griff. And if not, it'll be Chris Denari, but it'll be somebody. And appreciate you being with us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radios. We're coming to you from the Hard Truth Mobile Studios at the Big Ten Basketball Media Days. Back with more right after this.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit GarnishCatering.com. That's GarnishCatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off of your first order. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Studios mobile unit as we are in Chicago for the Big Ten Media Days, joined now by the voice of the Pacers, Chris Denari, as the Pacers, they had their media day this past Monday and will open up preseason play October 8th. Are you ready, Chris?
I'm ready, Jim. 2 days of practice in the books. They'll take today off and then go tomorrow, Saturday, and then Pacers Fan Jam at Gainbridge Fieldhouse is Sunday. You're right, 2 preseason games next week. They're both on the road. We do not have them on Bally Sports. However, Quinn Buckner and I will be doing them from the studio at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So I think they may be available on League Pass for people to watch. But yeah, I've been very impressed. The first 2 days of practice have been very good. They've really focused a lot on defense, and that's one of the things. We know how good this team was offensively last year, 6th best in the history of the NBA, 123 points per game. But from a coaching staff to a man, they know to get better and to achieve the goals they want. That's to win a championship, is to be better defensively, and they saw how important that was. They were much better in the second half of the season leading into the playoffs, but to a man, they said, we saw what it takes defensively to win a championship. That's what Boston did in the 4-game series with the Pacers, and it's what they feel is their next step.
Yeah, I talked to Dustin DePirick. He joins us each Monday, and the Pacers beat writer for the Indy Star. And the Pacers are set up a little differently than a lot of teams, and it's not something we didn't know, but instead of having a superstar, they've got stars, multiple stars that spread the wealth kind of basically. But not having that superstar, is that enough to get them over the top? They got to the conference finals last year against the Celtics, so it's not like they're struggling. Of course, defense is something huge for this team. If they can make a great improvement on that alone will make a huge difference. But I'm just wondering, are they still not having that superstar guy? Is that holding them back a little bit?
Well, I look back and you think, who teams that have won the titles. Boston won the last year with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and I would call them, close to superstars. I mean, Jason Tatum probably is a top 5, top 10 player in the NBA. And you look at Golden State as one, and the Lakers have won with LeBron. So yes, teams have won with superstars. But if you go back, I remember when the Detroit Pistons with Chauncey Billups and Tayshaun Prince and those guys won. Now you can say it was a different NBA back in the early 2000s, but that was a team that won a championship without a true superstar. They had stars. And I think that's what the Pacers have right now. I would say that Tyrese Halliburton is a star. was a member of the Olympic team, a two-time All-Star, was third-team All-NBA this year. I think Pascal Siakam is a star. Is he a superstar? Probably not a superstar, but he's easily, a top 50 player in the NBA. So I think what the Pacers are banking on is the continuity and the chemistry that they built a year ago. They literally have, Jim, I believe, 11 guys in their rotation that can play. And I don't think a lot of teams can say that. And they're not going to lose much when they go to that 11th guy. And they may even have 12 or 13. And so we saw them. You don't see this in the NBA very often. We saw them play a lot of full court pressure defensively in the playoffs. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Pacers use that a little bit more in the regular season. Can you do it each and every night when you're playing back-to-back games, when you're playing 4 games in 5 nights? I don't know. But I do think one of the calling cards of this team is great depth. And when you have players like, Jim, their backups, TJ McConnell has been a starter in the NBA. Benedict Mathurin has been a starter in the NBA. Obi Toppin has started some games in the NBA. James Wiseman could be the backup center. He has started some games in the NBA. So I think this is a group that really likes playing with one another. They understand that they did accomplish something last year, but that's not set in stone. You've got to work. So I just think the depth of this team is the real calling card and the strength. And I think that's going to be a key for this group this year.
Yeah, that's the one thing about this team. While they may not have that superstars I talked about, they've got a lot more, it seems like, depth. Basically, than a lot of teams have the luxury of having. Some of the pieces are, I don't want to say interchangeable, but you don't lose a lot, and that's huge for a lot of teams because that's a lot of times that's not the case. So, but not too far off. Like I said, preseason starts on October 8th. Got to get that voice going, and I know you don't have that game, but start doing the honey and lemonade and all that stuff, or whatever, tea and. Goodness, I'm in Chicago at Big Ten basketball media days, as you know, and so 18 teams here this year, Chris. 18. It's like having the entire NBA on one day. Not quite, but man, it seems like that with the addition of 4. It's only 4 new teams, but man, 18 is a lot. And as a matter of fact, they've changed the structure of how they do things. They used to have every coach would go up on the dais and Coach Weber walking by, how you doing, buddy? And speak before, and you're not going to learn anything. But now they're having like 3 coach breakouts with a moderator. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that because I love to hear coaches kind of talk back and forth. You're not going to learn a lot probably because they're not going to give anything up. But I'm looking forward to this Big Ten season. And Chris, I know you're busy covering what you cover, but I know you're a fan of the game and get to watch it. Indiana has to be the favorite to win the league this year. I talked about that earlier with the talent they have, with the fact that this is Mike Whitson's 4th year, with there's no Zach Edey in the league. They have to be the favorite. And I think they have to win it personally because I think Kurt Cignetti is going to start inadvertently putting pressure on the basketball program.
Oh, I think you're right. I think I saw yesterday leading in the 2 favorites in the Big Ten at the top, 1 and 2, were the 2 teams from Indiana. It was Indiana and Purdue. Braden Smith is from where I went to high school. He's from Westfield. He's the preseason Big Ten Player of the Year. So it's going to be an exciting year. You're right in the Big Ten and the recruiting class that Mike Woodson had, the guys that return. But you're right. I mean, what Kurt Cignetti has done over the first 5 weeks of the college football season, has everybody wondering, can the Hoosiers be 10-0 going into those final couple of weeks of the season? They have the big game at Ohio State and, of course, the Purdue game, the old Oak and Bucket game. But, it's, when you look at Indiana, I think the one thing that they still got to do a much better job of, and that's perimeter shooting. And it's funny because, Mike Woodson came from the NBA where the 3-point shot is such a big factor in spreading the floor. But I think, if Indiana can shoot the ball better, especially from the perimeter. That's really going to help them because they've got a lot of big, strong guys, a lot of guys that can play defense, a lot of good two-way players. But I hopefully they can shoot the ball a little bit better than they have the last couple of years.
Well, they're going to need to shoot it a lot better, honestly. You're being kind, but they brought in a lot of pieces to solve that. Luke Goody, one of those who he's more than just a shooter, though. Luke Goody, when I got to speak with him at IU Basketball Media Day, he's an intelligent, savvy veteran college player, and that's invaluable, number one. But then you've got the guards that Indiana brought in, Carlisle and Rice. I don't know how well they're going to be able to get the ball in the hoop, but you've got Mackenzie Mbako. And so the shooting should definitely improve. I think there's probably going to be a little less pressure on Malik Renew, but he's going to share time at the 5 because Ballo is only going to play about 20 minutes a game. So he's going to kind of move in and out, I think, of that. And then we've got new pieces. Bryson Tucker and Coach, how you doing? It's weird when you do a show here. It's everybody's walking by the nonstop, but yeah, they brought the pieces in. They're supposed to cure the ills, so to speak, Chris. And so they've got the pieces in place. Now they've got to put the puzzle together.
You know what's funny, Jim, is you're sitting there, you got a great location there, and the banner's behind you. And just for somebody, and I followed, I worked in college sports for a long time. You're at Big Ten Media Day. You have a big R behind you for Rutgers. You have UCLA and SC. I mean, and then Washington, and there's Oregon next to Ohio State. I mean, it is.
And I'm not going to lie to you. I moved sideways. I'm sitting crooked for one reason and one reason only. So I had to change my view.
But it is interesting. I mean, what College Game Day is going to Cal this week for an ACC game against Miami. I mean, it's change happens, and I remember when Rutgers and Maryland went to the Big Ten, when Nebraska went to the Big Ten. For those first year or so, it was different. But then at a certain point, you acclimate yourself to what that is. And it'll take a while. But when you think about it now, TV is so important. We all know that TV windows. And with the Big Ten now having that West Coast presence, that's just more TV windows that you open up. And then that's more money and revenue for your teams.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to some of these great matchups. I'm thinking about UCLA coming to play in Assembly Hall this year.
Yeah.
That means Indiana will probably be playing at Pauley Pavilion next season. So just those iconic matchups that haven't happened. I'm sure that through the history, UCLA has probably come to Bloomington, but I don't have that stat looked up right now to know that for a fact. And I can't say it for a fact. So that could be a first. Who knows? But it's going to be fun. Those teams had become good basketball programs already. UCLA, of course, under McCronin. Oregon has been good. Washington, not so much. But maybe being in the Big Ten, that'll help them. What that does for USC. They were kind of pushing the envelope on basketball, getting better as well with had Bronny James there. And so I think those teams will continue to try to grow that brand because now they're in the big boys league, man.
Yeah, what's so cool, Jim, is the relationship that college coaches and NBA coaches have. Over the first couple of days of Pacers training camp, Michael Lewis from Ball State's been in the building. John Gross, the former coach at Illinois, now at Akron. He was Thad Matta's assistant at Xavier and Ohio State. I knew him at Butler. Pat Kelsey, the Louisville coach, was in yesterday. It's just the collaboration that college and pro coaches have.
Now, what are they coming into? Are they discussing with Rick Carlisle or
well, there's so many relationships. Jim Boylan, one of our assistants, was an assistant to Frank Vogel many years ago, was the head coach with the Bulls. He was Fred Hoiberg's assistant for a while. He knows all those guys. I mean, these guys go to clinics. I heard John Gross talking about a coach's clinic that was down in Alabama. Lloyd Pierce, one of our assistants, was one of the speakers. I think a lot of these coaches come in to see what the Pacers are doing so well offensively. How do they spread the floor? How do they play 5 out? What's their pick and roll philosophy? I think coaches just like to learn from each other. And I think, as you watch the college game and teams play 5 out, I mean, look at what Indiana State did last year and the way that they played. So I just think there's a lot of collaboration among coaches. They enjoy, picking each other's brains. And, talking to John Groch yesterday, he said, look, we have I think between when classes start, there's a specific day in your first game, you have 42 days and you can practice 30 of those days. So you've got to take 12 days off. And he chose, as they looked at their schedule, they were taking 2 days off in stretches. And the 2 days off gave him the chance to come to Indianapolis and watch the Pacers practice. So I just think it's the collaboration among coaches that they like to learn from each other. And I know that NBA coaches learn things from college coaches as well.
Man, your season's about to start. You're not going to be able to get down to any football games.
No, for me at this time of year, it'll just be a chance to watch all of these games on television because, I'm about a couple of weeks away from being on the road a lot and, 82 games. We broadcast 78 of the 82. The Pacers have 4 TNT games this year that we can't do, but we'll do
Charles Barkley, baby.
78 of the 82. So I'll definitely be following IU football. I had it on last week. My wife and I were doing sort of a deep clean in the house on a Saturday, and I had the football game on 3 televisions in different rooms. So I enjoyed it that way.
Well, you got to get YouTube TV. Then you can have 4 on and 1 TV at the same time.
I've got DirecTV Stream, and I really like it. I mean, I really like DirecTV Stream.
I love I get 4 games going on 1 TV. Then if I've got my laptop or I can go in on I now have one of those 49-inch computer monitors.
Yeah.
You get 4 or 5 there, man. It's crazy. But looking forward to it. Thank you so much, brother. Looking forward to that getting started. Looking forward to the football season continuing as you get to follow that. And basketball, college about to kick off here soon as we're at Big Ten Media Days. Chris Denari of the Pacers, thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
All right, we'll talk to you next week.
You bet, brother. We're lots more coming up from the Big Ten Basketball Media Days here in Chicago as Indiana as well as Purdue, all 18 teams just speaking today, meeting the media and breaking out. We'll have interviews and all of that, whether some of that may come after the show, but we'll get it all done for you and looking forward to it. Back with more from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after this.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@indyhomepros.com. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouth-watering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering, serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas. Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Hard Truth Distilling Company and Andy Moore Honda Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios in Chicago for Big Ten Basketball Media Days. Staring here at Coach Tom Izzo right across the way. Not every day I'm doing the show and I have that view, Coach Griff.
Yeah. How you doing, my man?
I'm just doing fine. I'm waiting for see if the Is-man's just going to walk right over and just sit down and start chatting. I'm kidding. I don't expect that.
Yeah, you can kick me out then. That's for sure.
No, just join in, man. A topic I want to quickly get to for Indiana football is Coach Cignetti. I do not think that fans – it's my opinion. I do not think that fans have to worry about him being poached, about him leaving. My opinion on this is, like Florida would be a perfect example of someone who would definitely probably be looking for him. And they have the audience built in. They've got football tradition. And it's not that he doesn't like or want tradition, but I don't think he wants an easy route.
Yeah.
Steve Spurrier built Florida, won at Florida. Urban Meyer won big at Florida. It's been done. Do you know what's not been done? Virtually ever. It has not been done ever. Consistent winning at Indiana.
Right.
Never, ever, ever happened. Yeah, they had a great season in 45. They had a great season in 67. They had a great season in 2020. I just listed off 3 great seasons that's covered the span of 70 years. I think he loves the fact that he is winning at Indiana, number one. Number two, that he's winning at Indiana immediately. I mean, immediately. Breaking records, 100-year-old records, setting records, and he's going to do what people said he can't do. And that's why I don't think he's going anywhere. I think that Scott Dolson will also probably say, oh, all right, we need to make sure he's locked down, et cetera, et cetera. He'll get paid. He's not going to be paid $9 million a year, like someone will say, like Mark Stoops at Kentucky, but they're not getting their money back. They're not getting their money's worth out of that. And I'm not jumping on Kentucky or Mark Stoops, but I'm sorry, they're not getting $9 million a year out of their football coach at Kentucky. They're paying a big time salary like they are, but that's not the case. And so, although that's funny saying that as they just came off of the biggest win of the football season so far, going to Ole Miss and knocking off the Rebels and Lane Kiffin.
Well, yeah, and the other thing you get into, especially with these Florida, an SEC type of job with Florida, a head coach doesn't necessarily have a say-so on his entire staff that he wants to bring. Sometimes the powers to be would look at, who he would think to bring along with him, and they may say, no, you got to go this route. And this is the guy I want you to talk to, and this guy. So there's a lot of dynamics in some of these jobs out there. And even when you look at what Indiana did in allowing Sig to bring the better part of his staff from James Madison to Indiana, that's not always the case at some of these schools that have a big budget and boosters involved and ADs that have a multitude of people that they want them to talk to and agents and so forth and so on. So there's so much more to it than just the money scenario in terms of what a coach may have a say-so in. Now, does that mean Coach Cignetti wouldn't listen? I can't imagine that. I don't even know if Coach Cignetti has an agent.
I don't believe he does.
Yeah. So, that's the one nice thing is that you don't have an agent on the outside that's all of a sudden shopping a guy like Coach Cignetti that has had the immediate success to potential ADs that are going to be looking to fill a head coaching job prior to the end of the season. So there's so many more dynamics in today's game than there was when I was involved 20 some odd years ago, that the agents have made them, they're involved so much more now and things of that nature. But I agree. I don't think necessarily that Cignetti would be thinking that I'm going to leave. I don't even think he pays attention to that stuff, quite honestly. Unless like Scott Dolson reached out and contacted him at JMU. I mean, I believe when Coach Cignetti said that he thought JMU was his last stop as a head coach and he would retire there. And for him to go to Indiana, it was, like you said, a chance to do something that nobody else has done in quite some time. And he believed he could win there. So, I mean, there are so many much more dynamics that go into this stuff nowadays that it just makes your head spin sometimes. And mostly it's because of agents and peddling people out there right and left. So I'd be surprised if any of the Indiana assistant coaches have an agent. Maybe Bobstead does, but I doubt if anybody else does, because I bet Cignetti doesn't want it to.
They've been together for so long. I mean, those I can't remember who's been with whom how long, but I know that Brian Haynes has been with him for 10 seasons.
Right.
And I think Tino is 6, Shanahan maybe 6 or something like that. So that's very unusual
right
in the college game. Even it doesn't matter what level, because guys are usually moving on. They're using to move up. They're trying to become a coordinator or a head coach or whatever the case is. But these guys have stuck together, and it's a magic formula. I'll tell you that.
Right.
It is, because you get the continuity that you get from that is incredible, and it cannot be overstated. The recruiting aspect from that it brings, that also carries over. These guys see that these coaches, man, they're here. They're going to be here.
Right.
They're not going anywhere. And then they see the results of what, especially now, that'll probably be something that becomes much more noticed. Players that come out of Indiana, out of this program, that are going to be better and better with each coming season. Of course, the talent's going to increase. Indiana, they have to increase the talent. Not that they're not winning right now, but they still have to you got to keep getting better. And if you want to play against Alabama and Michigan and all of that consortium, and I know Kirk Cignetti does, he'll go, but he gets the talent that fits. And because I remember asking him about that earlier this year, and it's the fit is of uber importance. And I think we saw that with Donovan McCully this week.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what that was. That was a fit issue. I'm not, it's not for either side. It's just wasn't a fit.
Yeah, I mean, I think Donovan's situation with 1 year of eligibility left and the chance that he was going to find his way on the field in a consistent fashion being a factor because of how they're doing right now with their top 5 or 6 guys they're rotating. I think it was fairly evident that his situation was going to be a situation wide receiver, red zone only, just like they did Saturday, where they can create a mismatch with him against a linebacker. Now, does that losing him hurt? Yeah, it hurts a little bit because here's a guy that's 6'5" and so on. But I think ultimately, and I'm just guessing here. I'm guessing the fact that there may have been outside sources that says, look, you need to preserve your red shirt, go somewhere else where you can play if you want to go to the NFL. Well, and I think that's a very, I would bet money that is a possibility of why he ended up leaving.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. He had 2 catches on the entire season, one of which came Saturday in that touchdown. So yeah, Indiana has 8 players with at least 8 catches or more, something like that. So the ball is getting spread out, which is one of the things I've talked about with this offense. It's why it's so successful. It is very diverse and balanced, and then diverse amongst the balance on each side. The running game and the passing game, very diverse. You've got 4 or 5 guys running the ball. You've got 8 or 9 guys catching the ball. That's a lot for a defense to plan for. And it changes every week depending upon the opposition. But yeah, Donovan McCully is, he was Indiana's top target last year, but that didn't take a lot. I think he had a total of, was it 400 yards, something?
Somewhere in that
category. And it's not on him, but just Indiana wasn't good. But he was the top target by virtue of that.
Yeah, he was a top receiver on a 3-8 ball club.
Yeah.
I mean, but here's what I want to make sure and understood. Whatever the reason was, I don't think Donovan is selfish in the matter in this situation where he's looked upon as bailing on Indiana. The fact of the matter, yeah, right. But the fact of the matter is that in today's football, just because of everything that's changed, a kid can logically look at the scenario. He's got 4 games to determine whether he wants to, if he hasn't used a red shirt or however that works, make the determination after 4 games whether he wants to continue or not. And he just felt it's better for him to go look for a place where he can get on the field and play more. But understand this, I think Coach Cignetti probably has had discussions with him that this is what you're going to have to do to get on the field, and you're not meeting those expectations, so it's not going to give you that many opportunities. So, but anyway, I think Donovan McCully is a phenomenal player. I think he has a great chance. He's only played wide receiver for 1 season, maybe 2 at the most, so he's very young in that regard, but completely understand the dynamics in that scenario, and I do not think it was a quote-unquote selfish move on his part.
Absolutely. I think he did the right thing. I think he did the best thing for him. He is a senior. We're in this modern time where things are available, and I think he would have been remiss to not take advantage of it, especially when he is as far down the pecking order as he is. And if that's something that you're a senior, they're already 5 games in. More than a third of the season is passed. Not quite half. We're almost to the halfway mark after this weekend. So
it's crazy.
The season half gone, even though he only played in 4 games, although Indiana has played 5. But it was.
Yeah, he has. Right. Well, there's one question here that popped up, and I just saw it. Does he have to give the NIL money back? As I understand it, no. I don't know how they disperse the NIL money at Indiana, where they give them some type of monthly stipend. that could be a fact. Maybe he forfeits that, but there's no clause in there that says if we give you X, you have to give it back if you leave. From what I understand. So.
And no, I do not think that another comment isn't doing the best thing for you, the selfish thing. No, not necessarily. It can be, but in this situation, I don't think that it is. I think that it is a very natural move. He didn't leave Indiana hanging. I mean, he's caught 2 passes, people.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 passes, and one of those came Saturday.
I think everybody sees the potential in what he could be. The fact of the matter is he's not going to get there at Indiana based upon what they have now.
And he can go someplace, like you said, and there will be people that want him.
Oh, yeah.
He went into the portal once before, and Michigan may have wanted him. Kentucky may have wanted him.
You'll have plenty.
Yeah. I hope
Let's stop talking about Donovan.
Yeah, I wish he will. Hey, I'm trying to figure out why in the hell Vegas. I don't think they've figured Indiana out this year yet.
Yeah.
And I think it's Vegas is usually pretty damn good on this stuff. And we're 6 games in this weekend. And they have Indiana as, to me, I say only a 13.5, on FanDuel, a 13.5 point favorite over a team that scored 5 points against Washington, whose quarterback was 5 of 27 last week for 59 yards.
Mm-hmm.
A team who just hasn't had much going positively for it. And against a team that is averaging, the over and under for this game is less than what Indiana is averaging.
I know.
Scoring wise, which is mind boggling. Indiana puts 42 points on Maryland last week with the 4 turnovers. And I'm like, what the hell do you think they're going to do to Northwestern? I'm not getting this. I guess I'm missing something.
Well, I think they looked at the Washington game probably as a little bit of a quote unquote fluke. But the fact of the matter is Duke still scored 26 on them. Now that game went into overtime. And at the end of the day, yeah, there is some interesting statistics because their offense is only averaging 17.3 points a game, but 17 of those points have come off of turnovers. So that tells me that they've only scored when they've got a turnover. They have yet to really theoretically put any big drives together to move the ball down the field. It's all
when your quarterback's going 5 of 27 for 59 yards. It's kind of hard.
And both of them, they're struggling at the quarterback position. Their offense is struggling at the quarterback position. Defensively, the interesting connection here between the head coach at Northwestern and Brian Haynes is that they both coached together out at Sacramento State, I believe. And if you watch their defense and watch IU's defense, there's a ton of similarity in what they like to do. So there's some commonality there that the defensive sides of the ball have been playing pretty well. Northwestern, like Coach Signetti said, their defense is going to be the best they faced all year. Now, I think you believe he said that last week, but that was coming off a game against Charlotte. But all your defense you're going to play from here on out is going to be probably better than the week of the guys last week. But when you look at Northwestern's defense, they're only giving up 15 points a game. They're only allowing about 80 yards rushing. 80 yards rushing they're giving up, 222 yards passing for a total of 302 yards total offense. So in the day and age of scoring, their defense is giving up minimal scoring. Their offense is what is their biggest weakness, and that has hampered their defense completely this season thus far. So it's an interesting dynamic to see a defense at Northwestern like they have this year, but lack the productivity in the offensive category.
Well, looking forward to this weekend as Indiana looks to go 6-0, bowl eligibility on the line, and just the craziness continues as the Hoosiers continue this wacky tour that they're on, man. I'm looking forward to it. Cannot wait, man. I'm looking forward to the post-game show with Coach afterwards. We'll have that for you guys as well. Thanks a lot, brother, as always.
Absolutely. Be safe travels.
Thank you, brother. We've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from the Hard Truth Studios in Chicago and Big Ten Basketball Media Days. Back with more and possibly Dusty May after this.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@indyhomepros.com. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouth-watering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big-screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. The Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Maria in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Maria in Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Hard Truth Distilling Company and Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you from the Big Ten basketball tournament in Chicago, and I am joined by one of the Big Ten's veteran, knowledgeable pundits. Of course, you see him each week here on Tuesdays on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Mike DeCourcy with the Sporting News, kind enough to sit down for a few minutes with us as a big event here, Mike. It's just gotten bigger now with 18 teams, man. This is kind of like a mini NBA media days.
Well, don't say it that way. They don't want to hear that. And it's interesting because yesterday we saw Greg Sankey take a lot of social media heat. Fire. Heat may be a good thing. Fire can be good too. What's bad? Smoke can be good too. I mean, he took a lot of criticism. There you go. We don't have to use slang. He took a lot of criticism on social media for basically saying that he doesn't want college football to be a 70-plus team NFL. He likes the SEC having a degree of superiority over the average team, so to speak. And A lot of people had a problem with that. I don't see why that's a problem. If you earn a position, why should you give that up? A, and B, do we really think college football would be better if it were completely homogenized, if it were 70 teams with even less regional flair than we have now? Look, the Southeastern Conference, I like there being an SEC. I like there being a Big Ten. I liked there being a Pac-12, and I was sorry to see it go. Even when USC and UCLA left, there was a path for the Pac-12 to continue that the people in charge of the Pac-12 missed. The path went this way and they went that way, and that's why there's no Pac-12, or there's no Pac-12 this year, and next year it will return in a significantly lesser form.
And the Big Ten and SEC are supposedly meeting, I think, this week in Nashville, or did meet already.
Next week, when it'll be like Wednesday.
Some scheduling possibilities.
Yeah.
But that will start, first of all, I think, with the SEC having to go to 9 conference games like the Big Ten already does, because that's an advantage that they currently have. But that would be a step in that direction of them kind of controlling the narrative in that. And yes, most of the top teams come from those 2 conferences, but not all. But right now I look at the ACC, and it has been for a couple of years, really just, boy, for a conference that size, it does not have much strength to it. Miami this year, and
it's never been a great football conference. It's been a good football conference. And they'll throw all these numbers out, this and that, but it's never been great. They have had great teams in that conference. We saw Clemson in the late 2020
they were rolling.
They were phenomenal. But and Florida State last year had a terrific team before they lost their quarterback. And then when they played in the bowl game, pretty much everybody sat. So it didn't look even as good as that. But it's never been a great football league. But there's a place for good. There's a place for very good. That's what we have to remember as these things evolve. Is you don't have to be the absolute best in order to be worthwhile. If it wasn't worthwhile to have an ACC and a Big 12 and a Mountain West, it wouldn't be worthwhile to have Division II and Division III. Like, somebody's playing because they love it, and somebody's playing in now in the high major case because they love it and they're getting paid for it. So I don't think you have to be the best, but the one thing I don't want to see out of next week's meeting, get the SEC to go 9 games, good. Get a kind of scheduling thing, maybe a Big Ten SEC challenge or something like that in football, great. Even take most of the money from the college football playoff. Say, hey, you don't have a playoff without us, so we're getting, I don't know, whatever percentage. Let's say 66%. We're taking
Florida State routine, baby.
Just say you're taking the money, but don't go for this automatic bid concept that goes beyond the champions. Just everybody, the 4 champions and plus the 1, the group of 5 champion, and then everybody else earns their way in. Like I said, I don't care if they take the money. It doesn't bother me. But it bothers me if they change the competition to where it's not legitimate. Right now, this year, first time ever, we have a legitimate championship playoff in the sport of college football. We've waited for it for more than a century. And I've been around for all that century, but a lot of it. We waited for it for all that time, and don't take that away. Let it be automatic qualification for Big Ten, Big 12, ACC, SEC, and then everybody else gets in on merit. The Big Ten and SEC don't need a boost up. They're going to get the lion's share of those bids because they have the lion's share of the best teams. Just as I say in regard to the NCAA tournament, when people complain about how the mid-majors don't get a fair deal, I'm like, are you kidding me? They get 2/3 of the 68-team field. Even if they don't have, 1/3 of the 68-team field. Even if they don't have 1/3 of the good teams, the best teams, they get that many just on automatic bids. So they get a fair deal because that's pretty much what they earn. When they have a few other good teams like Mountain West had last year, or a couple of years back, Davidson got one. Teams like that, great. But you should get what you earn, not a guarantee of something above that. A lot of people have said for years, and I may have started this. I will take responsibility for starting it, but I fought against it ever since. I believe it was 1988, I wrote that every team should have to have a 500 or better league record to get into the NCAA tournament.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that's what I wrote. Well, I was wrong. And I'll tell you what, I was covering the Atlantic 10 at the time. It was a very good Atlantic 10. West Virginia was very good. Rhode Island was very good. Temple was great with Mark Macon and Tim Perry. And I thought, okay, and then the next year I got promoted to the Pit Beat, and now I was covering the Big East. And I'm like, oh my God, the difference between that Atlantic 10, which was very good, and that Big East, which wasn't even one of their best years, was just, it was enormous. It was significant. And so then I realized I was way wrong. You could be 7-9 in the Big East and be significantly better than 10-6 in the Atlantic 10. You could be. And so I have fought against that ever since. You should get what you earn. And if the majors have the best teams, they'll get what they earn. And I think this year we'll see a huge number of SEC teams. There are a lot of candidates. We'll see a huge number of Big Ten teams in that 12-team field. And you know there are a lot of candidates because you're backing one of them. The Indiana Hoosiers, I think it's a little early to say that they're really in it.
Absolutely.
But if they get through the next 2 weeks, then the fire is ignited, and then you're starting to really think about, hey, if we can get this done and that done, we can be in that. We could be in that room. Our name will be up on that board when they start talking about who gets in.
And that's when it gets harder for teams like Indiana, who hasn't been there, to stay focused. Don't listen to people like me or whatever. But that's one thing that Coach Cignetti seems like he has down. When I remember speaking to the players at football media days, well, they didn't want to talk about anything beyond Florida International.
Right.
Didn't matter. And I'm like, well, that's ingrained. And
you have to do it that way. Especially in football, because in basketball you can get yourself caught and you can lose a game, and it's not. And in most for the average good team, it's not going to hurt them to lose one they shouldn't have lost. They might lose a seed line or something like that, but it's not going to cost them. But in football, this is true in the NFL, and this is really true in college. You can't lose games that you're not supposed to lose, and that's why people like Mike Tomlin in the NFL are so focused on that next game. And it's not always easy to get the players to think like that. You saw it with the Steelers coming into Indianapolis this past weekend. They were riding high. Colts were just sort of wrestling along, and then all of a sudden it completely flipped because the Steelers weren't totally ready for the challenge. That's why, like, when IU goes to Northwestern this weekend with Nebraska sitting there waiting at home for the next week, you got to focus on the job at hand, do the job well, and then you get to the big challenge.
Absolutely. We're here at Big Ten Basketball Media Days. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News sitting in with us. Mike, what are you expecting to get out of this year? I've seen Tom Izzo already, and Dusty May, a new coach into the league. Of course, the 4 new teams that are into the league are new. And trying to think anybody else. I guess is Ohio State's coach considered new? Yes, that's his first Big Ten Media Days, I guess. So,
well, I mean, to be honest with you, this is the first time I think that in all of my time going to Big Ten Media Day, that there were coaches that I don't know. I mean, and I don't. I mean, I've not. Danny Sprinkle is not somebody I've met yet. I look forward to that. Dusty, I mean, I saw him at the Final Four a couple of years ago. Didn't really get much FaceTime with him. So there are guys that's really a new thing for me. I mean, because being at BTN and getting people who are the coaches get to see my work and they get to know me just through that, and then maybe we interact at games and the tournament and all that sort of thing. But now I got to know these guys and what they I got to see Danny play against Purdue in Indianapolis last year in the tournament. Utah State put up a nice fight for about 15 minutes, and then Purdue happened in that game. The full scale Purdue happened, and they took off, and there wasn't really much they could do. Obviously, like I said, saw Dusty May coach down in the biggest games in the Final Four. So looking forward to seeing what he can do with Michigan.
Oh, absolutely! I think he's going to do great. He's just a great coach, great recruiter. You mentioned Purdue, Indiana. Those 2 teams just kind of keep floating to the top of everybody's minds, which I know that it's the beginning of the season. We don't know the coaches, don't know these teams yet because there's always so much change. But right now they just kind of seem like the two favorites. I think there's more pressure on Indiana to be that leader of it, just because of the talent they have. Because I talked about this earlier. I think Indiana football is probably going to start putting some pressure on the basketball program because think about it. 1 year, boom, come in, and you turn around the most downtrodden program in the history of Division I football. This is year 4 for Indiana. It's not that it hasn't been good, but it's time to get to that.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the first year at least getting them back into the stage, and then second year, they had a really nice year with Trace. They get I believe they were the 5. I can't remember. They were the 4-5 game against Miami. Now I can't remember who was the 4 and who was the 5. But that's a top 20 team in the country if you're in that spot. So that's a good season. That's a very good season. But obviously, Indiana fans, and fairly so, hunger for a return, if not to the days of 76 and 75 and 81, et cetera, at least to being a threat to make the Final Four in the way that Purdue has been over the course of this decade. Purdue has been a threat to make the Final Four. They have not followed through on that threat in every year, but last year they followed through gloriously with a fabulous game against Tennessee and then making it all the way to the championship game and losing to a legitimately great opponent. They did not lose to, oh, you should have won that one. No, they played against UConn. UConn played their best. It was their championship. They were the best team in the country last year.
Speaking of UConn, what was the expectations for them this year? I mean,
they're talking about a three-peat. I kind of admire Danny Hurley for that, because why not? I mean, they're probably not built to do it, but they're not built to do it. It will be a much more significant upset if they did it now than it would be either of the last 2 years. I saw them coming in 2023. I had them in the championship game at the start of the tournament, coming out of the West region. They had some breaks. UCLA, which was a great team that year, lost 2-3 starters right on the eve of the tournament, so that weakened them as an opponent. Didn't think Gonzaga was built to make it to the Final Four, and UConn was. And so I wasn't surprised at that team's success. And then last year, they were great all along. I mean, they were great from day one. I think they maybe had a couple of stumbles here or there, but they were legitimately fantastic.
Indiana, with their makeup, they added a lot of pieces in the offseason. They had some shooting. They added guards with speed. You've still got veterans behind Malik Renew, who has been there, Trey Galloway that's been there, and now you add Umar Ballo, preseason All-Big Ten already. He's just like a plug-and-play guy.
Right.
But he's only going to play probably 20 minutes a game, 22, I bet. That's what he kind of has been, but so that means Malik Renew is going to move in and out of that 5 spot some. And Indiana has to shoot the ball well this year. Right. There's no doubt. Mackenzie Mbako has that capability without question. Luke Goody has that capability without question. Their guards, the speed. What can their speed do to the game? I think it's kind of hard to be a team that gets up and down the floor when Umar Ballo was in the game, because that's not really built for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's about who gets the ball off the board and how quickly they can outlet it. You have guys who can play on the move. Trey Galloway is great in transition. He's a tremendous player. The guards can push the ball. I will tell you this. I think Trey Galloway is the key to this team. I think that Trey and Mackenzie Mbako are the keys to this team, because Mbako has to become a legitimate wing player, not a miscast stretch 4, which is what he was a year ago. That's okay because he was young. But no, he's got to become a legitimate wing player for his sake and for IU's. If he wants to play in the NBA, that's how he gets there. He becomes a legitimate wing player that if they wish, the pros can play him as a smaller 4. But he's got to be a legit wing, a 3-and-D guy. That's what he's got to be. And then Trey has to – I think the biggest problem for him last year was having to do way too much playmaking because of Xavier Johnson being injured. So it took him completely out of what he is, which is a guy who will play on the move, which finish breaks, attack off the bounce, straight line, but he can get by you, and then he can be a 37+% 3-point shooter, a guy who's a legitimate threat. And I mean, in every game, you're not always going to shoot 3 of 5 or whatever, but a legitimate threat that teams have to honor. If those things happen, IU is a significant team.
And they've got all these different pieces, which gives them a lot of different looks.
Yes.
I talked about Carlisle and Rice, two guards who add a lot of speed to this team. Rice and Tucker, and you talk about Trey Galloway. When he comes in the game, it's going to be it's more of a cerebral game than speed, but not that he's not athletic, but probably not quite as quick as these guys.
Yeah, but I think one of the reasons why I like Trey as a key player is that neither of the two transfer guards has been a significant shooter to this point. Now they can't say that. It doesn't mean they can't get better because they're not bad shooters, but they haven't been like dangerous guys, 35, 37 plus % from 3-point range. Those guys, and of course the 40 plus guys are the great ones. But if you get into that range, teams have to honor you, and they have not been that to this point. So either if they want to hold off Galloway for playing time, they have to get to that level, because I think Trey will show that. And you also have the leadership component. You have somebody out there who has been a captain for a long time, who can tell guys. Leadership is so important on a team. People underrate how important that is. I think one of the reasons Kansas wasn't very good last year is because they struggled with leadership, somewhat personality-wise, but more so guys getting hurt and never really being out there. Kevin McCullough gets hurt just when they're starting to get good. So you have to have guys who can run your team in the right direction. If you just have a bunch of guys and you have to get all your leadership from the coach, they have to be great players. They have to be extraordinary players. You even look back to Kentucky's 2012 freshman-laden team with Anthony Davis. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist was a legitimate leader even as a freshman. He's the one who changed the culture of that group. Ed Darius Miller as a senior that year, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist was the difference. It helped to have Darius because he was a senior, knew what to do, but he wasn't that vocal of a guy. But Kidd-Gilchrist was. He had that gumption, that wherewithal, that gravitas. Guys responded to him because he was a great talent who worked his tail off. I think Trey, not a Kidd-Gilchrist level talent. He's never going to be the number 2 player taken in the draft, but he's a terrific college basketball player who knows exactly what it takes to win. If he's able to shoot those numbers I talked about, he's going to have to be on the floor.
Purdue has a lot of pieces back, veteran pieces, but obviously they do not have Zach.
You notice
the big piece, and I know that Braden Smith is he's the only unanimous selection to all Big Ten team, and you've got Fletcher Lawyer, you've got Trey Kaufman-Wren and Caleb First. And some of the other guys they've added, but they're also very young after that.
Yeah.
And I think over half the roster, with 5 incoming freshmen and whatever the sophomores, half the team are underclassmen. How are they really going to be able to compete for a Big Ten title without Zach?
Oh, I think some of it comes down to which of the 2 big men becomes. The one advantage they have, the freshman is very tall, very talented, not really yet filled out. And the sophomore from the Netherlands is a terrific shooter. Now, will he have the confidence to shoot those shots in a college game? I've seen him in drills where, he looks like a 6'3" guard out there busting threes. He has a beautiful form, beautiful stroke, but doing that in a game, especially as a big guy, is something you have to get used to. If he's that, they can make a difference there. They can use a combination the way they did with Travion Williams, and Zach a few years ago. They can do that. On the wing, they are really dynamic there. They have, beyond Fletcher Lawyer, they've got 2 young wings. Cam Heide is a absolute jock.
A very good player for them last year.
Yeah, he did some nice things. You saw him get more and more minutes the deeper they got. And then the sophomore Miles, I think he's a great talent. And I think
Miles Colvin?
Yeah, Miles Colvin. He is a significant talent. One of those 2 guys has to be really good. If both of those 2 guys, they could end up divvying the minutes between the 2 and 3 and get each of them, around 26 minutes a game, throwing in Fletcher into that. and they can have an unbelievable wing rotation with those three players, and they're all a little different. Miles is a great shooter who has great quickness, and I think he's a pro. Cam Heide is a A-plus athlete who can shoot it, who can make shots. He's got to become a shooter, but he can make shots. And then we've seen what Fletcher's done over 2 years of his career in some of the really huge games. So those three guys, I think a lot of what will define Purdue basketball will be how those three wings become, how significant they become as contributors to the Purdue Boilermakers.
Well, regardless, it's going to be fun to see Indiana and Purdue both at that level. I'm thinking about the games at Assembly Hall at Mackey. It's going to be fire.
Absolutely.
It's going to bring the heat.
Yes.
Without question. Well, we're going to take a break and trade one great for another one as we have enjoyed our time with our good friend from the Sporting News, Mike DeCourcy. And we'll have Bob Kravitz up next. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you as always. We're back with more from Big Ten Basketball Media Days here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company. Back right after this.
Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off of your first order.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouth-watering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@indyhomepros.com. In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
Yeah, you could write it yourself, you know.
Radio brought to you by Hard Truth Distilling Company and Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington.
Yeah. Did you work with coffee?
No, well, yes.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Thursday from Chicago and Big Ten Basketball Media Days. Jim Coyle with you as always from the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios. Thanks to Mike DeCourcy for sitting in. Now we have the great one. You know him, you love him, you cannot live without him. Bob Kravitz from BobKravitz.com as he is being powdered. I think they've still got him in the makeup room.
I can't hear a word you're saying.
Yeah, you don't have to hear. You can hear me. From
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Squeeze on in here, squeeze box.
All right.
But so we've had a good bud day. It's seen everybody popping around. The dean of the Big Ten coaches, Tom Izzo, was here. Dusty May, the rookie of Big Ten, is here. So we've got a little bit of everything. Cronin, I haven't seen him yet, but so you've got the 4 new teams. There are new coaches. Diebler from Ohio State, Dusty, of course, at Michigan, and looking forward to that. It's funny. He brought Vladimir Golden with him, and I remember going down to watch a game in Fort Myers last year when they were playing. They played Indiana at Indiana, Florida Gulf Coast State or Florida Gulf Coast. A game once they lost, I couldn't believe it. But it was just weird seeing Dusty and Vladimir both there, and now they're
both
there. So it's kind of crazy.
I'll tell you the truth. I came up as much on a fact-finding mission as anything else because I don't know a hell of a lot about these teams, and especially Indiana, because the front line is still going to be intact pretty much. You got Galloway coming back, Leal, but all these guards. Who are these people? And how good are they? It seems like they're going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, Galloway's coming back from an injury. First of all, it's off season. I don't know if I should call it minor surgery, but nothing major. But Carlisle and Rice, Carlisle, right?
Rice, yeah.
I'm getting
Miles
there's
Rice.
too many Miles. Yeah. Indiana's got 2 receivers named Miles. They're all spelled differently, of course. But there's a lot of new pieces in there that the guys are going to be fighting for time. I'm sitting down, I'm like, well, where are these minutes going to come from?
Right.
Gabe Cup started, all those games because of Xavier last year. Man, I could almost. It doesn't happen anymore, but boy, I could see him redshirting.
I could do.
This would be
He just needs to get bigger and stronger.
Yes, and I could see that being.
He was the poor guy. He tried really hard, but he was overmatched in the Big Ten last year, all season really.
But he's worked hard and gotten bulked up and gotten bigger and better. But I talked earlier. It's the shooting for Indiana. They have to knock their shots down.
Who's going to make the shots?
And McKenzie Mbako, you start with.
Mbako. Yeah.
He is a very, very good shooter. He's got to put it all together. He had a good run toward the end of the season. It kind of started to come together. And maybe having Umar Ballo as a different type of center in there. I don't know if that helps him or not. We'll see. But there's also the speed. Does that help McKenzie? Does the other guys that are on the team? Yeah, exactly. And so we should see a different team this year. Mike has talked about it. He wants to get up down the floor some. So
how's he going to do that with Ballo? And
I just talked about that very thing a minute ago. I'm like, I think it's going to be in spurts.
Yeah.
And then Mike talked about, it depends on who gets it and get out. If you can get it and get out, then you don't need Ballo. Just get down to the rim and score.
Right.
I guess, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to these teams. Just the old Big Ten teams. I don't even know them, much less the new ones.
I know. I like I say, I came up, I'm going to write a couple of comments on IU and Purdue this week and next week. But yeah, I'm on a fact-finding mission. I just, all these new teams, all these new players, including in Indiana. Purdue, we know what they got. I heard Mike DeCourcy when I was walking up here talking about Cam Heide and Miles Colvin. Those guys are studs.
Those were nice additions.
Really nice additions. And who's the big center they got now? Berg?
Will Berg.
Will Berg, yeah.
They have 2 of them.
Right. I saw a video of a 7'9"
Florida guy. Is that the Florida guy?
Kid. Yeah, I think he's in Florida. And I thought he's got Purdue written all over him.
Yeah, I everyone has talked about Purdue in the same light as anybody else as far as being at the top. And I don't want to sound like anti-Purdue or that I just don't, without Edie, they couldn't win it with Edie. They damn sure cannot win it without
Oh, they
Edie.
came awfully damn close. I mean,
Yeah, but not close enough.
Look, they'll have the best or one of the best backcourts in the Big Ten.
Until somebody shuts them down, until they run up against a great defense.
It's a long time for that to
Well,
happen.
and granted, let's be honest though, UConn's defense was pretty stout in the backcourt.
They're unbelievable.
They're NBA players.
And they had the big kid going one-on-one with Edie, and Edie got his, but they took the three-pointer away. So Fletcher, Lawyer, and Smith, they couldn't even get a shot off.
Indiana, Michigan State, I don't know what they're going to truly be like this year. Michigan is going to be interesting with Dusty.
Yeah.
Dusty's a very good coach. If he can do it at Florida Atlantic, he can damn sure do it at Michigan.
Absolutely.
And so it's going to be interesting to see the team he has put together. He's got the centerpiece in Vladimir Golden that he's very familiar with, who came up from Florida Atlantic. I still don't know why Johnny Davis did. Michigan is hard to get into, so I can see that. I couldn't have gotten in there. So,
well, you couldn't have gotten.
Well, I'm just pointing it out that I'm not saying that not getting in there is not a big deal. I couldn't have gotten in there either. So it's hard to get in there.
My blood alcohol level in college most days is higher than my GPA.
Not good for a hockey player.
Well, I didn't say I was a good one.
What you talked about getting to know these teams in the Big Ten this year? What are you looking forward at the Big Ten media days here with all these? There's a lot of new coaches, and some of the players will be up here though.
I'm mostly interested in Woody, and how Woody handles it, and what he's looking at in terms of style of play, how the minutes are going to be distributed. He says he wants to play small ball on occasion. I don't know how you do that because I don't think you're best player. But here's the thing. I'm saying this, and I don't know. I haven't seen.
Well, Ball's only going. I keep saying this. I've said it several times today already. I don't think he's going to play more than like 22 minutes a game.
Right.
So they are going to have that opportunity, which could be a great thing for Indiana because now you're giving multiple looks against the team. If they're successful against one, all right, fine, let's do the other one. So they weren't, but
if you can play it both ways, it's if they can throw a couple of different looks at people, that's in their favor for sure.
And they should be, they are one of the picks to win the league, at least in most people I've heard, talked to. Purdue is also. I'm still surprised by that.
Besides IU and Purdue, Michigan State.
I'm going to put UCLA up there. UCLA is Mick Cronin has got something put back together. I don't know how good they're going to be, and there's always a surprise. Look how well Ohio played toward the end of the season last year.
Diebler,
No one saw that coming. They've got that. You've got what other daggone it, Dylan Harper, who selected preseason all.
Right.
Little surprised by that, but
surprised that Brady preseason all big MVP.
Oh, he was all in because he was the only unanimous selection. He's the guy on the team that won it for the years. Right. He's the head of the snake, so to speak. I don't think he'll end up being that. I don't think he's going to go. It's not going to go like it's gone the last one.
Right.
But I don't think it's going to take as well as people.
It would be insane that it would. But I'll tell you what, I got to see a little bit of Heidi and Miles Colvin, as Mike was talking about. These guys, if their young wings can produce, they're going to be damn good again.
Well, and they've got a lot of continuity with the guys.
they
There's
do.
so many guys that are back that they've had there for a couple of years.
It'll be cool. I'm trying to remember the last time Indiana and Purdue were both good.
Well, I just said that to Mike a minute ago. I'm like, man, it's going to be fun. Think about those games that the Mackey and Assemble both are good. Ran 5-10 title. The old days, man. Yeah, and Purdue for Big Ten title. Indiana winning ball. What the hell is the
What's
word?
going on? You're getting pretty with the Hoosiers, aren't you?
Oh, it's not me, baby. I've just been preaching the word just because.
I know you've been telling me for months how good they were going to be.
It was just a palpable thing to me. It was just something that I'm like, wow, this is something that I can really see and feel and.
I won't harsh your buzz by saying, well, the schedule, but they did go out to UCLA and beat the crap out of them.
But you're not wrong.
They looked good, I thought, against Maryland. I mean, to turn the ball over, what, 3-4 times? 4 times.
And put 42 points on the
score.
board.
42 points. I mean, that's hard to do. I mean, that runs counter to the conventional wisdom about football.
I was just wondering earlier. I talked about Indiana is a 13.5-point favorite this weekend over Northwestern, and I can't figure that out. The over and under is like 41. They average more points.
Yeah.
Northwestern has been terrible.
Northwestern's been awful.
They can't score to save their life, and I'm like, okay, what am I missing here? Because I think Indiana wins this game 42-3.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You remember in past years, you could see the decline coming because they were barely beating garbage teams, and then they got to the Big Ten and got their head handed to them. I mean, they're going out and absolutely eviscerating these teams, and that's a really good sign. Now, can they handle success? I do think they beat Northwestern. Are you going to stay up here for the Northwestern game?
No, I contemplated that, but that would have been meant staying another day in between.
It's a little expensive up here.
Well, that and it's the situation this year with the field. Everything has been crunched down.
Yeah,
so I'm
probably
like,
no room in the press box.
This is one I'm going to check out on television,
There
baby.
you go. Just sit there with a cold beer and watch the game.
Still have the post-game show afterwards, and the
still have a beer.
And the daggone it, the Corn Ferry Tour Championship this weekend down at French Lick at the Pete Dye.
I've tried to forget about that round, but you see, I still got my shirt from the Pete Dye course.
Wow, nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
Pretty nice, huh?
Yeah, look at him, all color coordinated, man.
I am. I wanted to
man in black.
Put my best foot forward. Yes, Johnny Cash.
Man in black. Everybody's starting to get here now. The buzz is starting to pick up, and I'm looking forward to hearing from the coach. They're going to have something today. Instead of the coaches speaking at the beginning all day, they're doing like three coaches together with a moderator.
Oh, okay.
So
I see Woodson's going to be with Hoiberg and Eric Musselman. Let's see, where's Purdue? Here we go. With Ben Johnson of Minnesota, Danny Sprinkle of Washington, and Matt Painter. So,
he gets 2 teams that he'll beat the crap out of.
What's that?
I said he gets 2 teams that he'll beat the crap out of.
That's the truth. That's the truth. I mean, I ask you because you know more than I do about this, but who do you like in the Big Ten? I mean, Indiana, Purdue,
UCLA.
UCLA.
Brett Underwood, I never write him off because he always manages to put something together. Lost a ton. Man, did he lose a ton. He's lost his best player, and then I think he lost someone to the portal. But he was able to
He's a
Oh,
help coach.
he has done a great job putting a team together year after year. So they're going to be an unknown Oregon. I mean, I don't know what they're going to be like. So it's going to be interesting to see. And it's going to be a fun Big Ten season. I'm looking forward to some of these games like UCLA coming to Bloomington.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome and something the fans will love it a lot. But looking forward to all of that and talking to all the various coaches and the players today. We'll have tons of interviews for you. It may not happen during the show, depending on these schedules. Trust me, it's like a circus. You're herding animals in
Exactly.
herding cats.
It's like
herding cats.
This is like a smaller version of Radio Row at the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
The Tower of Babel.
Power of Babel. Oh, I like
You like that?
Yeah.
I use that.
Did you make that up
column.
yourself?
I just quote myself.
So what is your goal today? Just to
Get smarter. You know,
Boy.
I do not know.
how's the start to that going? It can't be well. It can't be well. You're sitting here.
I know. Well, as soon as you let me go, I'll let's see. They start at 9:00, so a little coffee and a little Brad Underwood and Dusty May and Greg Gard, and we'll get going for the day.
Well, I'll let you get to it, brother.
All right,
Go
buddy.
get you some coffee and get to it. No, I get you no blues last night for you.
No, I got
Man.
up. This is so funny. I'm in a bowling league. Bowling.
Of course you are.
And I haven't bowled in 40 years.
Makes sense to join the league then.
So I joined the league, and I go out there, and I bowled 182.
Damn.
Then I came back to earth. The beer started kicking in. 146 and a 138. But that's still pretty damn good for a guy who hadn't bowled in 40 years.
Absolutely, man. You are the king of all things sports.
I'm an athlete.
Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com. Make sure you're a subscriber and following Bob as well. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
We'll take a break. We've got lots more coming up here from the Big Ten Basketball Media Days, brought to you by Hard Truth Distilling Company, as we are at the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. We'll be back with more right after this.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off your first order. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Hard Truth Distilling Company and Andy Moore Honda Bloomington. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, on the day of Big Ten Basketball Media Days from the Hard Truth Studios here in Chicago today. As soon as we're done, we'll commence with interviews we're going to have, not on today's show, but we will have Mike Woodson, we'll have Trey Galloway, Miles Rice. I spoke to Dusty May earlier. Hopefully going to have Dusty on as well. So looking forward to that. But it's been a fun day so far. And can't believe it's almost over, at least for us on the show here today. But, man, I am still – it's weird to be sitting here at Basketball Media Days, and I can't stop thinking about covering this football team. It has been an absolute blast. Covering a winner is a lot more fun, as I keep saying, people. And how good can it get? We don't know the answer to that yet, but I think it's going to be tremendously better than virtually everyone thought it was going to be. Everyone that is still kind of hanging on, waiting, I'm like, man, there's nothing else to wait for. The train is leaving the station. They should go 6-0 this weekend. Not that I think that there's any chance of them not winning this game, but that spread has just got my mind think. I'm like, okay, why? Vegas always has reasons for what they rhyme in a reason to what they do, and they're usually pretty good at it, like I've said, but I'm not getting this. I think that they just haven't bought in yet, which is shocking this far into the season, but the schedule has not been terribly difficult right now, but they have taken care of everything they're supposed to do and much more. That's the thing. They're not, this is not a year where they beat, who was it? They beat Akron, beat in overtime a couple of years ago. Then somebody else, they beat 30, Western Kentucky, I think they beat 33-31 and just all of that stuff. I mean, it wasn't that long ago they lost to Ball State. So don't forget that. But enjoy this. Enjoy what's going on if you're a football fan, if you're an IU fan. Enjoy the hell out of it. I'm telling you, don't let any of it go by. You can't take it for granted because football is a very, very difficult sport. It's even more difficult if you're not a traditional power. But Indiana has turned it around under Kurt Cignetti, and like I talked about earlier, I do not think that he is going to be going anywhere. I don't think that if Florida comes calling, it's going to matter. He loves this challenge. I think he loves what he's doing here. He's doing what everybody said he couldn't do. Not only that, you've got all those coaches that I talked about that he has so much continuity with. Brian Haynes, who's been with him for a decade. Tino Sundry, Mike Shanahan, been with him for 6 years or so.
all of those people came here. They bought homes. They brought their families to Bloomington rather. And I just don't see that change. There's no reason for them to go to. Why do you have to go to Florida? If you could go 11-1 in the Big Ten at Indiana, I think that I'd take that route. It's probably going to be easier to win at Indiana. Maybe not, but the pressure is definitely tremendously less. You know, Florida adding another coach. How many coaches have they been through recently? I mean, Indiana was kind of like that. Until you make the right hire, it's going to be that way. But that's the key. You've got to make the right hire. And even Kurt Signetti talks about the right people. That's when Don Fisher asked him about how he has turned this around so quickly. I mean, he always talks about you have to have a blueprint, you have to have a plan, you have to have the right people, you have to have people of high character and all of that. And he has that. And I think he likes what he has going. He is in a place where he would be loved wherever. If you win, people are going to love you. But when you do it someplace where it hasn't been done, that's special. I mean, what is more amazing? Turning a football program around that has the most losses in all of Division I football, or going to a program that Steve Spurrier's already won at, that Urban Meyer's already won. That's not really a challenge, to be honest with you, at least not in my opinion. But doesn't matter for me because I'm not going to be getting offered the job, so it won't matter. Man, it's been fun so far today, and looking forward to getting a bunch of these interviews in throughout the day and getting those out to you guys. Just saw Fred Hoiberg walk by as well, as the coaches were all kind of roaming in, looking at the schedule. Tom Izzo up. He may have already. I think he may be coming up. Maryland coach Kevin Willard, Rutgers coach Steve Peichel, UCLA coach Mick Cronin. I believe that they will be. They're up in about 15 or 20 minutes. Then they will be followed by Indiana head coach Mike Woodson with Fred Hoiberg and USC coach Eric Musselman, someone that I haven't met or we haven't seen much from him, being one of the new teams in the league. It's going to be interesting to hear what he has to say and how they view coming into this league, more known as a basketball league than the Pac-12 was, even though they had UCLA, who, of course, a power from previous years. What does UCLA do once they get into this league? That's going to be fun to see because there's always surprise teams. Looking at football right now, you've got Indiana, you've got Illinois, you've got Rutgers. All three of those teams are shocking people around the league and around the country. Illinois is a damn good football team. I mean it. And as is Rutgers. And, of course, Indiana as well. Indiana does not have to play either of those two teams, which is probably a little beneficial. So we'll see how it moves forward. And, man, I cannot thank everybody for being on with us today. You guys have been awesome. And I've got to thank, of course, all of our guests, starting with Coach Griff, Shannon Griffith, who joined us early, and Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com. And I'm hoping that I haven't missed someone because I've been talking for so long today. If I did, Tyler, then you're going to slap me on the knuckles, as Brad Underwood is about to come by. And that's another team that I'm really curious about. But looking forward to it. Just like I'm looking forward to being back with you guys tomorrow. I think I'll be coming to you from Prince Lick for the Corn Ferry Tour Championship as that gets started this weekend. But that's going to about wrap it up for us today. Big thanks to Tyler for keeping us between the white lines. Big thanks to all of our guests. Biggest thanks of all to each and every one of you guys for being with us today. It is always a pleasure, and we appreciate you. We're back tomorrow, as we are every day. For those of you that, if you're new, make sure you tune in every day. We're here for you. Until then, from the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios, it's Chicago at Big Ten Media Days. I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.